guys, welcome back, and today we are going to do a ghost tour. We're gonna walk through tons of different architectures and buildings, and yeah, I hope you guys enjoy the ghost tour video, and I'll see you guys later. Bye!
He buys this land, he builds this magnificent structure, and where the restaurant Muriel is as well. Now, Pierre Jourdan has one serious vice I can talk to you all about later from the very get-go. And that vice is gambling. He loves to gamble. And gambling is one of those things that's really interesting because you can have as much money as you can think of. But if you're a gambler, you can lose that money. It's one of those type of things that doesn't matter how much money you have. You want to make $1 million bets and stuff, you could lose it all. Well, during this period, at this point it's the early 1800s, the way Monsieur Jourdan likes to spend his nights, he likes to throw lavish parties, he likes to invite people to his home, and he likes to make very large wagers. And he likes to play a game called craps. Now here in New Orleans, craps was such a popular game, we named a street after it. We had Craft Street. Craft Street was next to a street called Piety, and also a street named Desire. So around Piety and Desire, for a while, you could find craps. They got rid of the name Craft Street, they put a bunch of churches on the street, now it's Church Street. And that is closer to Piety, but I don't know if it's closer to well, Monsieur Jourdan has been betting big, and he's been losing big. But on this night, on one fateful night, he's feeling really lucky. He's doing pretty well. He's got a couple guys at his place, and it looks like he got a couple suckers. They're losing a lot of money. And Pierre Jourdan's trying to make all the money back that he's been losing. Well, these gentlemen, they decide, hey, let's go big or go home. And they made an outstanding wager. One that Pierre Jourdan doesn't actually have the money for. So they go, well, how do you want to keep on playing this game? You don't have the money. Pierre Jourdan took a slight to that. There's a man with a lot of fortune, a lot of wealth. He doesn't like a challenge. He's feeling lucky. He puts the deed up for his home. Yeah. And those guys, they weren't suckers. In fact, the sucker was Pierre Jourdan. They've been playing him. They've just been making these wagers because they knew that he was a hothead. They knew that he would make a big wager. And sure enough, he has. And as many of y'all are probably thinking, I didn't tell you this because he won. He lost. He loses his home. And these gentlemen, they go, you know what, since we're such nice, caring individuals, we'll give you all of 2 days to get the hell out of it. Okay? Pierre Jourdan is ashamed. He's lost now his entire fortune. And he can't even stomach the thought of telling his family and his wife. He goes upstairs, prepares a noose, and he hangs himself. Now what happens after that
You knew that?
is that the estate of Pierre Jourdan never seems to be quite right. It seems that anyone that winds up coming out here, that they have to deal with supernatural and often pretty terrifying things. At one point, this becomes a boarding school. I believe it was the first boarding school in Louisiana. A child one time claiming he was hearing the voice of Pierre Jourdan, grabs a brick and hits his headmaster in the head with it, severely injured. The school goes down. And after that, many businesses wind up purchasing this place, moving in, and none of them have any luck. Restaurants open, they wind up having grease fires in the kitchen, plates going everywhere, people getting sick. All of that happens until the 80s, when something very interesting happens. Now, people have been trying to do a lot of things to turn their luck around in this place. And a few different people tried to hire mediums, trying to expel the spirits that had been roaming these places. That didn't work. But these businessmen that wind up buying this location, let's say they're outside of the box thinkers. And I actually asking them to expel the spirits. They're actually using the mediums to communicate with the spirits and asking them, how do we make you happy? How can we coexist in this space? Well, as I had mentioned, Pierre Jourdan, a man of luxury and means, he tells the medium, I would like to have a table at the restaurant, and I would like a fine bottle of wine and a glass of wine every day. And they go, we can make that happen. So the next location which we're going to check out is the restaurant Muriel's, and you will see a table. And at that table, there will be a cup of wine poured for Monsieur Jourdan. It is something they do every single night. Upstairs in Muriel's, they have a seance lounge. How many places in the world can you go to have a fine meal and go to a seance lounge? Not many. This one. And a third interesting thing about Muriel's, if you feel so inclined, maybe the people that you've been traveling with haven't been that interesting. Well, if you're already used to getting bored to death, you can actually book a seat at Monsieur Jourdan's table. And you can have wine with Monsieur Jourdan. Now, I don't necessarily recommend it. Not a great conversation. And on that note, folks, let's go check it out. Now, does anyone want to take a guess why they would be called Romeo spikes?
These boys been climbing up.
So the boys don't climb up. We have a history here in Louisiana of some very creepy men. And they used to like to get into people's windows. The joke about Romeo spikes is you might go up a really upsetting you was your head. They're going to grab a little needle and they're going to put it right in the head. The first voodoo dolls were actually a record-keeping device. So when you came back, because I don't think you've learned your lesson, you're still drinking too much. I think it's a problem at this point. Your family and I, we're gonna have a little sit down wait. But when you come back and you go, hey, do you have anything that might help my affliction? They will look at your doll and they'll go, the last time he was here, we gave him something for his head. Let's give him the same thing. So that's where the voodoo doll comes from. It is not for vengeful exes. Darn. I know.
Just saying.
Now I'm going to talk to y'all a little bit about our most famous voodoo practitioner. That is Marie Laveau, the voodoo queen of New Orleans. Marie Laveau is a very interesting woman. She's born a free woman of color during the time of slavery. And Marie Laveau first gets famous because of really her big heart. One of the things that she would do is when people were sent to the gallows, they were sent for their execution, she would go pray with the people that were on death row. She would bring them food, water, try and comfort them. And very interesting, often she would get them out of trouble, sometimes getting people off of death row. Now, one of the ways she was able to do that was because of her other profession. Now, ladies, when you go to the hair salon, what's one of the things that you hear a lot of? Gossip. Yep, that's right. That's right. Well, Marie Laveau is a very prominent hairdresser. And she's getting is founded in 1718. In 1727, France sends the Ursuline nuns here. And they're sent here to bring some civility to this glorified penal colony. They come here so that they can open up schools, hospitals, and generally bring some civic improvements to the new colony. Fast forward just a few years later, and the men that were living here in Louisiana, particularly the men of the upper crust, they are tired of the women of ill repute that had been sent here. I'm going to let your imaginations guess what type of women those are, and I'm going to do that because we have some children on this tour. They say, we want women that are pure. And when I say women, I actually mean 13 and 14-year-old girls. Unfortunately, that is the reality of those in the world.
Yes.
Yeah, you guys remember that? Okay. Well, we had our version of that. And this guy put that man to shame. And his name was Jacques Saint Germain. Jacques Saint Germain comes to New Orleans, very handsome man. It looks like he's in his 30s. And this guy is unbelievably interesting. He's got an accent that you can't really put your finger on. And he's lived in all of these different exotic places. He speaks 10 different languages, and he could play about 15 different instruments. He has an almost encyclopedic knowledge of world history, culture. It doesn't seem like there isn't something that this man hasn't done or doesn't know about. Well, he becomes a real hit here, right? People are just enamored with him. And one of the things he likes to do, he likes to put on really good parties. Here we like to party. I don't know if you've noticed that. Well, there's something really interesting about the parties that he puts on. Right? Jacques Saint Germain's party. Folks, if y'all don't mind just clearing out a space for this group to pass us on by. Now, one of the things that's really interesting about the parties that this guy puts on is you folks may have been, while you've been here, experiencing some of our amazing cuisine. Right? We got some really good food, and it's known all around the world. Jacques Saint Germain puts out these great spreads, but he never eats anything. No one ever sees him eat anything. And Jacques Saint Germain also likes to go out, and he's quite the ladies' man. Well, one day, Jacques Saint Germain goes out to Bourbon. He meets a lady, convinces her, hey, would you like to go over to my place? She's like, yeah, sounds nice. They go to his home. People come to his sister. They go, what happened? Well, first she goes, well, I fell off this balcony. But more importantly than that, Jacques Saint Germain tried to bite me in the neck. Now, here in New Orleans the acronym for our police is NOPD. And you might think NOPD stands for New Orleans Police Department, but I honestly think it stands for not our problem, dude. Okay? So even though this young lady goes to the police really don't want to deal with this. They think she's just some drunkard, crazy person. You know, they're not taking it seriously. But this lady is persistent. So she keeps on going to the police and saying, hey, I want you to check in on Jacques Saint Germain. I saw a lot of really creepy things in his apartment. He tried to attack me. Now, one thing we should note too, people never see Jacques Saint Germain during the day. He's strictly a night owl. And the police come and they do it New Orleans style. They show up one day, they knock on the door. Not everyone had record players. That was something you had if you were well off. That's like new technology at this point. So, even if you were the worst musician, you don't got an ear, you don't have a rhythm, chances are, around that time, you were working. This gentleman winds up killing, I think it was 30 or 40 people. And they never found him. Folks, let's move on to our next step. But he wasn't our only pirate. We had lots of them. And as I said many times during this tour, this place started off as a glorified penal colony. And in this area, and over there, all throughout Pirates Alley, back in the day, you would come here, and this would actually be where a lot of other pirates, the less kind of industrious pirates, they would sell the goods that they had stolen. Conveniently, they were next to two governmental buildings, a church, bars, and a jail. Here we like to keep things in walking distance. So, if for instance, you didn't pay off the right people, someone was trying to, maybe you had a little bit too much to drink, you might wind up in jail. But the nice thing is, you know, if you're feeling a little bit lonely, maybe one of your pirate friends can come down and go, "Hey Pierre, would you like something to drink?" Sure.
Nice.
I'm gonna shoot over there.
Good friends, good friends.
Now I'm sure y'all have come and marveled at a lot of the beautiful architecture here, but you have not been marveling at the smells, unless you have some sort of weird fetish. I don't know. But if you think New Orleans smells bad now, it smelled a lot worse before indoor plumbing. And with that note, you want to take a guess what these things used to be? That's where people used to throw their refuse. Yeah.
You still are still doing it.
There's still a few people that have taken this, that honor the tradition.
You said never step in the puddle when I see a puddle.
Never step in the puddle. Never step in the puddle. People would take their buckets of refuse at the end of the night. They come out to their balcony. They would throw it over the side. Good luck, everybody.
I homeschooled, so I told them about this.
Oh,
They
yeah.
turned around and they were like, "Oh, I was like, it happens. See, this is proof."
Now, another thing that we used to have over here, too, was we would have big, large basins filled with water. Why did we do this? Because our city burned down multiple times. That's great for preventing fires, but it's not great keeping mosquitoes away. So here in New Orleans, we lost thousands and thousands of people to yellow fever. It was a big epidemic. And folks, I'm just going to wrap this up. During this tour, we've talked about architecture, we've talked about history, we've talked about pirates, ghosts, vampires. We've talked about things in which we like to party and celebrate. We've talked about axe murderers and the ways that we've undergone tremendous horrors. Disease, hurricanes, fires. It's this duality that makes New Orleans the place it is. It is the good with the bad. No one comes and lives here. I've been living here for 9 years, folks. In the time I've lived in New Orleans, I've been a musician, I've been a pedicabber, I've been a lighting technician. I've gone through multiple hurricanes. I've been mugged at gunpoint. I've had cars stolen. This is not a place where you go to have an easy life. This is a place, despite the name, the Big Easy, this is a place where you go to have a lot of life. You live a lot of life here in a short amount of time. You have people that have tremendous kindness and openness. We are very hospitable. You have people that can be very indifferent and do horrible things to each other. That is a part of our city. I like to give recommendations to people at the end of my tour, things to do, things to avoid. When a person is on the street and they say, "I bet I know where you got your shoes." You know where you got your shoes? On your feet. That's the punchline. And they're going to try and use that so they can get some money out of you. So when someone says that to you, you can go, "I'm good, thank you. We don't have to make that wager." You will see.
Thank you guys for watching. Hope you guys have an amazing day, and I hope you guys enjoyed. See ya. Make sure to like, subscribe also. So, peace.